Welcome to Celebrating Act Two, where today John and I get to speak with Manny Pacheco.
Hey, Manny, great to see you.
Good to see you guys too.
Manny, as you know, we have a good friend named Grace McKay, who is the proprietor of a film. It's called Vintage Film Channel. She rescues, I call it rescuing, old films and old TV shows. She digitizes them. She enhances them to the best of the new technology allows. She even
Sure.
colorizes them. And
Hmm.
all I could think of is thank God for the internet because there are so many places that are really showing and I don't know if they are preserving these old films to the degree that Grace is,
Right.
but they're certainly making them available. And once
Yeah.
upon a time, you couldn't find this stuff.
Well, once upon a time, movie studios didn't care about classic films, and of course, they just discarded them. That's why we've lost 90% of all silent films. They just got thrown in dumpsters. And then there was a time when the celluloid factors, crept in, and which meant that these films were disintegrating before the ones that were kept. But then, of course, came along American Movie Channel and then Turner Classic Movies, and all of a sudden we started preserving a lot of celluloid. And the only problem that I see with that is not enough of it was being done. I mean, Turner did a great job of preserving libraries from Warner Brothers and from MGM.
Yeah.
And 20th Century Fox, despite having a fire back in the day, maybe in the 60s, I think it was, and lost a lot of their celluloid, has been able to preserve their content. And it's now housed under the Disney. Believe it or not, Disney owns a lot of the 20th Century Fox product. And Paramount, they've done a pretty serviceable job as well. But, you know, most people the go-to obviously is Turner Classic Movies, and with the of course the film festival at this time of the year, made me think about all the other ways that you can watch classic films. Because last year we got a scare. Turner Classic Movies might have been stripped down into a platform that we hardly recognized, and a lot of that product would have gone away. But then I started talking to some of my students, at the colleges that I teach, and they kind of let me know that actually classic films are alive and well on other platforms. So I started researching, and lo and behold, my students were right. There's some platforms that are very modern, that are very today, that are actually also dedicated, like Grace McKay, to making sure that films are being seen. And what I have done over the last, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 months, I've been watching films. Many times I haven't seen them maybe 30, 40 years. In some cases, I've never seen them, although I was familiar with the titles. Think The File on Thelma Jordan with Barbara Stanwyck and Wendell Corey, or The Mad Miss Manton, which is another Barbara Stanwyck and Henry Fonda film. And I find these films and I go, I know this title, or maybe I don't know the title, but the cast looks so good that I have to watch it. A film noir movie called The Web, which starred Vincent Price and Edmund O'Brien. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's a good cast, and even more in the cast. But those two right there will hook me. And so I've watched about 30 or 40 films off these platforms, and I'm really catching up on what I really should have been watching years and years and years of watching Turner Classic Movies, but these films just don't pop up.
So what are these? What are these new internet platforms that are playing these old films?
Well, some of them are pretty obvious, and I'm going to say one, and you're going to say, "Well, didn't we know that already?" And quite frankly, I didn't. YouTube. YouTube actually has a lot of films that they will show. In some cases, they'll show it complete, with no stops. Sometimes they'll buffer in some commercials. They'll put some commercials in there in between.
Yeah,
But remember, we used to watch old films on TV when there was plenty of commercials. On
sure.
the $1 Million
Hmm.
Movie or the Fabulous 52. We would watch lots of movies with commercials. I know we're spoiled now, and Turner is commercial free. But
Yeah.
even Movies Channel, that airs on cable has commercials. So I don't mind going to YouTube and watching some of these really wonderful films. The only thing is I guess I could hook up my computer to my television, but my computer is big enough that I could actually watch them
Sure.
comfortably on my computer. And I'm enjoying them. And I'm watching some pretty outstanding films that I didn't realize that I hadn't seen for such a long time. And it's exciting for me to remember, wow, I think I was 14 when I saw this film, or I was 10. You barely remember. I just watched one just yesterday, Grand Central Murder, which is a whodunit, kind of in the style of a Thin Man, except it doesn't have William Powell and Myrna Loy. It stars, of all people, Van Heflin. And
No
so
kidding.
it's one of those whodunits, and it's
Yeah.
really fun. And you got all these people who have their stories to tell, and you got the gumshoe policeman, and it's just a lot of fun. And I'm like, wow, I haven't seen this movie in a good 20 years, and it's very cool. The other platform that I've discovered, and I brought it up to my students recently, and they're like, oh yeah, this is a great repository of information, and that's the Internet Archive. And the Internet Archive, I think, is something that is created through the Library of Congress. And the best way to describe it, it's kind of a visual version of Wikipedia. So
Huh.
if you can look up a movie on Wikipedia and find out all the information you need to know about that movie, you can actually watch that movie. And they've got even a bigger library than YouTube. But the problem is that they're being threatened to be shut down because I think they're showing movies and not paying the licensing.
Well,
That's the
now, who owns that channel?
I believe it's a Library of Congress repository.
Hmm.
I truly believe that's what it is. But the point of the matter is that what they're doing, what they intended to do was put out these movies for educational purposes.
Yeah.
But if, for example, okay, I could use it then in my classroom. But let's say I decide I want to have a movie night and I want to invite friends, or maybe I charge 50 cents for everybody to come to my house and watch a movie on the
Yeah.
Internet Archive. Well, that's not what this is designed for.
Right.
And that's where they can get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm hooked on this Internet Archive. I'm hooked on YouTube. Every night I say, okay, what am I going to look for today? And I spend about an hour looking through the film catalog that they have, which is, by the way, it is not it's not in alphabetical order in any way, shape, or form. You are basically like the old days when we used to go into a record store and you see all that bin of old records and you just
Yeah.
go through it and you
Yeah.
hope to find that rare gem and you're like, oh, that's the movie I want to see. I saw one yesterday on Vimeo, another platform where you can find movies. I tried to find it on Internet Archive. They said, no, we don't have the licensing on this, so we can't show it. But somebody downloaded it on Vimeo, and I was able to see the old 1936 Werewolf of London
Wow.
with Henry Hall. And and Spring Byington's in it also, another great classic actress. And I was able to watch this Universal gem, the pre-Lon Chaney werewolf in with Henry
Sure.
Hall played. And so every night I'm finding one of these platforms showing one of these movies. Now, with that said, let me add one little credo. You might find a movie you're looking for on a platform you've never heard of. Be careful because you might open up and then you might be opening up a virus. So you got to be careful with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know.
But they wouldn't necessarily just be catering to classical movies. They're not going after, hey, we have classical movie people. They don't know anything about viruses. So I mean, it's not like BritBox or something like that. It's just obscure.
Yeah, virus. It's just an obscure site, and that's all there is to it. They'll get you any way they can. You know how that goes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But what were you going to say, John? I'm sorry.
I don't know. I'm just impressed by your depth of research on these new platforms. I had not heard of them.
Yeah, Internet
I
Archive.
obviously heard of Vimeo and YouTube,
But yeah, Internet Archive was a surprise to me. But then I bring it up to my students, they're like, "Oh yeah, we've been on that for years." But but here's the thing: I may have caught it right in its last legs. It might go away as soon as tomorrow. I mean, they're
Now,
really
why is that?
bringing this down because they're playing movies that are not licensed and they're not in the public domain, and so this could be a problem.
Yeah.
But these
Yeah.
sites that
You
you've
have-
been talking about though are generally the more obscure films, because things the classics like Wizard of Oz and
Well, Wizard of Oz can be seen all over the place, but there are some very popular films that are on there. I mean, Mr. Smith
huh,
Goes to Washington,
really,
and oh yeah, the It's a Wonderful Life, the Maltese Falcon. I mean, they're all there. I just happen to have seen those over and over. But I personally am looking for films I haven't seen in a long time or
Yeah.
been interested in seeing. And I have a list of about 100 or 200 films that I'd like to see. And so some of them are available, some of them are not. And by the way, there are other platforms, but then the problem with these other platforms, which I don't have any names per se, but I've gone to them and they expect you to join their site, and then you have to spend like a monthly fee, like a membership fee,
right.
and I won't do that. I'm basically trying to see these films for free.
Well,
Yeah.
now, Manny, that you have outed Internet Archive, I think we need to stop this right now so that our viewers can go run out and go see a couple of films before they get shut down, thanks to this program.
Yeah, well, I don't think they'll get shut down that quickly, but they might. I mean, they've been talking about it, and I'm familiar with the conversation, the chatter about it. But if
Mm,
you want to go to Internet Archive, what I do is I'll type in the name of an actor,
mm.
or I'll type in a name of a movie. I'll say, let's say, for example, I say The Mad Miss Manton, full movie, Internet Archive. And then, then you go to you scroll up to the different choices. And then when you get to the site, it doesn't just pop up for you to watch. There's some sort of a little navigation area that says MP4, like an MP3 file, but an MP4 file, which is a video file. Then you got to open that up. And from there, you can grab the movie.
Yeah.
Neat.
Interesting.
Okay,
Yeah.
the adventures of finding classic films. Thank you, Manny.
Well, it's no different really than, looking for those old vinyl, or maybe comic book collectors looking for old comic books.
Sure.
I mean, we're
Yeah.
we're all collectors at heart, and this is my collection. I just like to, in my cranium, I want to build that memory of fresh classic films that I remember as a child, or maybe
Yeah.
create new memories of films I haven't seen before.
Great.
Yeah. Well, good. You've introduced me to a new platform. I appreciate that.
I think you're going to be hooked. I really do. I do. I love it.
For more on Celebrating Act Two, visit our webpage, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and tell your friends. Celebrating Act Two is the user manual for the second half of your life.